Spider-Man has a lot of gadgets, but should he? Let's talk about it. So obviously throughout the years, there's been a good amount of iterations of Spider-Man, from the movies to the comics, video games, and TV shows. We've seen a bunch of different iterations of Spidey, and I kind of like them all. That's a correction, I really like them all. And one thing I've noticed throughout all of the iterations of Spider-Man, no matter which one it is there's a very stark variation between the gadgets that Spider-Man has and uses. Now, in some of these, they're much more apparent, and in some of these, they're absent entirely. Some of the installments show Spider-Man not using pretty much any gadget aside from maybe a web shooter. Some, he's not using any, period. But then there's the few where we start getting a little bit more out of hand, and we start adding more and more gadgets to his quote-unquote utility belt. I would consider the PS4 game to be that one side of the bar, because he has a whole wheel full of gadgets, and they're all really cool and serve different functions. It's almost getting to the point of a Batman utility belt, showing all the different gadgets Batman would have, but in Spider-Man. And I've never really had a problem with gadgets with Spider-Man. I think it's pretty cool, and you would figure he's a smart guy, so the more he goes out spidering, that's a weird term, the more he goes out fighting crime and learning about all the criminals he has to face, he's a smart guy. He's gonna start adapting, making new stuff. I watched a video yesterday. Someone pointed out how gadgets are not Spider-Man's thing. It's more of a Batman or Iron Man thing. And I can't really decide if I agree with this or not. While I see the one side of, yeah, gadgets aren't a Spider-Man thing, I also see the other side of gadgets are pretty cool, and Peter or Miles are both smart enough to make enough gadgets where it would make sense. So I kind of wanted to get your guys' opinion on it. Do you think Spider-Man should have gadgets? And if he does, how many should he have? We've seen them throughout the years. Obviously, the web shooter has been in most interpretations, and then even in the MCU, we see small little gadgets like the spider tracker or the little drone. And then we start getting a little bit more out of hand with the arms and the AI systems, all that stuff. And then in the games, they get even crazier with all the gadgets. But then, of course, we have the interpretations where there's no gadgets at all. So I want to know, what do you prefer? Do you prefer Spidey without any gadgets or with a bunch of gadgets? Or do you think he should have them at all? Obviously, no one's right or wrong here, and I'm not coming in it with much of a bias. I just want to see what people think, because I think it's cool, but I'm always curious to see what other people have to say.